Welcome to Lesson 9, Customizing the Chart of Accounts. To begin this lesson, go to the QuickBooks Online demo account as discussed in Lesson 4. Now that you understand what a chart of accounts is and that each local and district council is going to start with a standardized chart of accounts created by International, I want to show you how you can edit your chart of accounts and add accounts and sub-accounts that are meaningful to your location. So you're going to have that core standardized chart of accounts, but there may be accounts that your location needs that nobody else needs. To get to the chart of accounts, go to your navigation bar, down to Accounting, and select Chart of Accounts. The first time you enter, it may ask you to click a green button that says See Your Chart of Accounts. The chart of accounts is organized with your balance sheet items at the top and your income and expense items at the bottom. In an earlier lesson, I demonstrated how to turn on account numbers. I'm going to go back over that because every time you log into this Craig's Landscaping Play account, those numbers get turned back off. So up on your gear in the upper right-hand corner and down to Account Settings, and then over on the left, you want to go to the Advanced tab. Then in the Chart of Accounts section, click the pencil to edit that. Click the box that says Enable Account Numbers and Show Account Numbers, and then don't forget to click the Save button. Now I will return to the Chart of Accounts by going to the navigation bar, Accounting, Chart of Accounts, and you'll notice that the first column shows me numbers. Craig's Landscaping does not use numbers, but Ironworkers does, and in an earlier video, Gay Schmidt explained to you that numbering system. So the first column has your account numbers. The second column is the name of the account. The third column is the type of account. As we scroll down, you can see we have bank accounts, we have asset accounts. It looks like Craig's Landscaping owns a truck, so they keep track of that as an asset. There are credit card accounts, followed by liability accounts, income accounts, and then expenses. The fourth column is called the Detail Type column, and that is not a column that applies to Ironworkers. So we are going to remove that column visually, and I would encourage you to do this in your real copy. To do that, you want to click the lower gear. When you scroll all the way to the top of your chart of accounts, you'll notice three small icons, a little pencil, a printer, and a small gear. So we're not talking about the gear in the upper right, we're talking about this lower gear. And when you click the lower gear, it gives you an option to uncheck a column that you don't want to see. So if you take that check mark off of the Detail Type column, you'll see that it disappears. And then the final two columns are your QuickBooks balance and your bank balance. The bank balance is, of course, what the bank shows you have money-wise. QuickBooks balance is what your books say you have. Ultimately, I'll be teaching you about bank feeds, and you'll learn how you're going to synchronize those accounts. The final column changes depending on the type of account you're in. If you're in a balance sheet account, you can view any of the registers by clicking View Register. If you scroll down a bit to the income and expense accounts, those don't have registers, but you have the option to run a report for a specific account. I've scrolled down to the expenses area in the Craig's Landscaping chart of accounts, and I noticed that he doesn't have an account to track charitable donations. So I'm going to show you how to add a new account, and we'll use that as our example. If you scroll all the way to the top of your chart of accounts, you'll see a green button that says New. Clicking that button brings up a dialog box to add a new account. The first drop-down is the account type, and the account I'm trying to add is an expenses chart of account type, so I'm going to drop down the list and pick expenses. The next drop-down list is detail type, and I explained to you earlier that that does not apply to Ironworkers, and in fact I even showed you how to remove the column visually from your chart of accounts. So I'm going to ignore that drop-down list, and the next field that I need to complete is the name. I'm going to type charitable donations, and then go to my number field. Now, when you're giving a number to an account that you're adding, you'll want to integrate it into the existing chart of account numbering system that Gay talked about. So you'll come up with a number for your new account, and then you want to click into the description field. This is an optional field. it's for you to put in a description in case you forget why you use this particular account. And then finally, there's a checkbox to say that this is a sub-account of another account. That is not what this is going to be. We'll learn about sub-accounts in a few minutes. So I'm ready to add my new charitable donations account. I click the Save and Close button at the bottom, and then I can scroll down in my chart of accounts in the expenses area and locate my new account. If at any point you realize you've made a mistake with the chart of accounts, or you need to make a modification, maybe you want to change the name of an account, over to the far right in the drop-down list next to each account is an option called Edit. It will bring that same dialog box that you used to add an account back up so that you can make your editing changes. Now we're going to scroll down to the expenses area and notice that there's a utilities top-level account. Sub-accounts indent under their parent. Sub-accounts allow you to be more granular in how you track expenses. For instance, you might be fine knowing how much you spend on utilities as a whole all year long. But another business might want to know how much did we specifically spend on electric versus water versus gas, and so they decide to create sub-accounts under utilities to break that out. Now keep in mind, if you decide to use sub-accounts in a situation like that, when you get your electric bill and you pay it, you need to be sure to book it to that sub-account called electric rather than going up to that top-level account. So the bottom line is, if you create sub-accounts under an account, book to the sub-accounts, no longer book to the top-level account. Now some of your accounts will not have sub-accounts, and in that case, you book to the top-level account. To demonstrate adding a sub-account, I'm going to scroll down in Craig's Landscaping chart of accounts to his income account called Pest Control Services. I'm going to pretend that this has become a thriving part of his business, and now he does a lot of insect removal like bees, but he also does animal removal like rodents. So he wants to track how much he's making on each type of income. We'll create a sub-account called insects, and we'll create a sub-account called rodents. To add our first sub-account, scroll to the top of the chart of accounts and click the New button. In the dialog box, the type of account is income. We can ignore the detail type. The name will be insects. And this is a sub-account of the top-level account called Pest Control Services. Click Save and Close. Scroll down to the income account called Pest Control Services, and you'll notice your new sub-account indented under the parent called Insects. Now for practice, let's do rodents. Scroll to the top of the chart of accounts, click the New button, select Income as the type, ignore the detail type. In the name, we'll call it Rodents, and this is a sub-account of Pest Control Services. When we're finished, we click Save. We scroll down to Pest Control Services, and now we have two sub-accounts under that top-level account. And in case you're wondering, you can have as many sub-accounts under a parent account in your chart of accounts as you need. However, if you want a sub-account of a sub-account, you can only go 4 levels deep. Now that you understand how to add new accounts and sub-accounts, I am going to go into the sample Ironworkers chart of accounts and show you an example of some sub-accounts that Ironworkers 808 down in Florida wanted to add under the account Local Union Dues. So I'm going to scroll down, and under Member Services, account 1364100, there's a sub-account called Local Union Dues, account 1364110. This union likes to see their union dues broken down into sub-accounts, such as journeyman, apprentice, honorary, pensioner, and so on. And so there's a prime example of a situation where you may want to create sub-accounts. They created a sub-account called journeyman and gave it number 1364111. Now that you know how to customize your chart of accounts, please be aware that the standard QuickBooks Online account only allows you to have 250 chart of accounts. The Ironworkers standard chart of accounts has about 175 accounts. So that leaves about 75 more accounts that you can add to customize the standardized chart of accounts. If you need more than 250, you can get them It's just that QuickBooks will begin to charge you for those additional chart of accounts. If you want to check your current usage level, go to the top gear, Accountant Settings, and then Usage, and you will see how many chart of accounts you're currently using. Now, I've discussed adding accounts to the Ironworkers standard chart of accounts, but what if you don't need one of the accounts that they've provided? You can make an account inactive at any time, and then it will open another slot for you to use a chart of accounts for something else. To demonstrate how to make an account inactive, I'm going to scroll down to the income account called Sale of Member Supplies, Clothing, Logos, etc., account number 1394400. Over to the far right, I'm going to click the drop-down arrow and select Make Inactive. It asks me if I'm sure I want to inactivate this, and I click Yes. Now the account no longer appears, and I've gained another chart of account number that I can use for something else. Now, if I ever want to bring an inactive account back, I simply go to the lower gear at the top of the chart of accounts and click the box that says Include Inactive. I then scroll down to the account that I want to reactivate, and there it is, 1394400, Sale of Member Supplies, Clothing, and Logos, and over to the right is a button that says Make Active. Before we leave this discussion about the chart of accounts, I want to demonstrate a few other things about the chart of accounts screen. If you scroll to the top of the chart of accounts and place your mouse between the column heading names, you will become a black double-headed arrow, and you can drag left and right to resize a column. Another thing that you can do is sort on any column by clicking on the column name. If I click on QuickBooks Balance, it will sort on that column. The default sort order for your chart of accounts is sorting on type. If you want to properly see your chart of accounts indented, you want to be sorted on that column. And then finally, if you ever need to print your chart of accounts, scroll to the top, and in that lower set of icons with the pencil, the printer, and the gear, click the printer, and it will allow you to print your chart of accounts. Now that you understand chart of accounts, I want to remind you that this is one of your Phase 1 tasks. Once you complete this online training, you're going to be scheduling some online sessions with the HQ team, which includes Gay Schmidt and me and Kayla. And during one of those sessions, we're going to walk you through your existing chart of accounts, help you clean that up, help you decide what you want to keep that isn't already on the standardized chart of accounts, so we can get everything ready for your upcoming conversion.